Have you guys ever wondered why they skipped the letter E in grades? It goes A, B, C, D, and an F. And yeah, the reason is as dumb as you're probably guessing. They were afraid E was going to be interpreted as excellent and they wanted to emphasize F for failure. That's essentially the reason, and it's like, who comes up with this stuff? No one with half a brain would hold the same logic for A, B, C, D. Like, I never looked at an A and thought, amazing. The only thing I thought when I saw an A was, oh good, I don't have to get my ass beat this time. I'm just kidding, you guys with immigrant parents know what I'm talking about. And if you guys got strict parents who believe academics were everything, I mean, I think it's safe to say almost every immigrant parent is strict in this regard. And on the surface level, you hear that and you're like, that's a good thing, right? They'll study harder so they won't get that big red letter F that stands for failure. But it's a little bit more complicated than that, and I want to talk about how most people have been taught to fear failure and the negative effects of that. You see, for most of us, we've been conditioned through either parents, the education system, society to fear failure. Whether it's this warped letter grading system, or your parents that think academics are everything, or society, your peers, social media, all of us to some degree are conditioned to fear failure. And we hear these cliche quotes about failure. One of the most popular, famously quoted by the greatest basketball player to exist, Michael Jordan. I've failed over and over again in my life and that's why I succeed. And it sounds pretty, right? It's also something everyone kind of knows, but you also hear that and you think, that sounds great, but how does that apply to my life in particular? And it kind of just becomes empty words from every other self-help book. Putting yourself out there to fail is scary, and the fear of failure is synonymous with the fear of shame and embarrassment. And these three things can and have single-handedly ruined lives and have been responsible for hundreds of millions of regret. And I think this is one of the main reasons why people play it safe in life, why most people settle. This is why most people will suppress their inner desires in life, because they're afraid of failure. They're afraid of shame and perception and embarrassment. And I could tell you that these things are all illusions, but I mean they are, but that's not gonna hit home, so let's go a bit further. And I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but it's okay to fail, man. And this isn't some motivational video or anything, but I think it's important to highlight. Yo, especially for the generation in social media where putting your life on display is so common, where everyone's constantly putting on a front to try to prove something, that they're good enough to strangers. People are afraid of failure because they're afraid of how other people will look at them, and this is an acquired behavior. Shame and embarrassment go hand in hand with that perception in that regard. It's self-preservation, and we're all constantly trying to preserve our image. That's what it really is. And it sets a bad precedent, man, and I know it's kind of preachy, kind of like a broken record, but it's so important. It's fine to fail. You should fail. As a matter of fact, you have to fail. Otherwise, you're going to stay in the same spot for the rest of your life. You're not going to do things that you truly want, no matter what it is. And I know it sounds like I'm saying the obvious, but many of us, me included sometimes, we subconsciously go the opposite direction because we're afraid to fail. Like whatever you're doing, right? It applies to everything, not even just your career or work. It applies in love, friendships, your social life, hobbies, everything. And I wish a lot of people would change their definition of what it means to fail. That way you can remove the embarrassment and shame aspect. And to be honest, this part I blame on the parents, because some of y'all, specifically immigrant parents, need to understand positive reinforcement is much more powerful than negative reinforcement, specifically when it comes to quote-unquote failures. Like, there's gotta be some sort of process of assessing the situation and improving upon it. There's no such thing as failure, there's only lessons and experiences, and improving and learning. And again, this isn't some motivational thing, but it's true. And to be honest, you only really fail when you give up. You gotta redefine your definition of failure, and again, this starts with the parents. Because when you only scold and yell and use negative reinforcement when they quote-unquote fail or fall short, this is going to condition them to fear failure. And again, when you're afraid of failing, you'll never go outside your comfort zone. You're always going to play it safe and never go for what you truly want. You're going to put yourself in a bubble and only exist within its boundaries. And this is the start of something dangerous for the rest of your life. Like, not enough people are pursuing and going after what they love because of the fear of failure, which is rooted in the fear of perception, shame, embarrassment. And the worst part about it is, again, these things are all illusions. Without lessons and quote-unquote failures, there's no way you can build any character. There's no way you can have any depth to you as a person. And as soon as you're met up with some resistance, you'll fold each and every single time. And it's supposed to be normal, right? We all seek pleasures and dopamine because of the instant gratification culture we exist in. Everything easy and convenient seems great in the moment but has severe consequences later, but we can't see that because we're short-sighted. I mean, society conditions us to be this way. And I kind of find it pretty interesting how life is specifically designed that way. Because when you think about it, generally speaking, the things that are hard is usually a sign that we should do it. And the things that are easy, they keep us in our comfort zone. For example, right, eating unhealthy foods, that's real easy. Eating burgers and pizza and fried chicken, that's real easy. Hell, I'd do it every day if I could. However, eating clean and healthy is extremely hard. Sitting on your ass not exercising, that's real easy, right? But things like going to the gym constantly and going on a run on days you feel lazy or slow is almost impossible for most. Kind of brings me back to a saying that I think of and constantly have to remind myself. And it's that nothing worth doing is ever easy. And for the most part, this has honestly never been not true, at least for me. And going back to failure, we're so afraid of it because of self-preservation, yet all these things that we're sheltering ourselves from is literally the things we're supposed to do to go through life, in order to keep growing, keep moving forward, and to keep evolving. Kinda like Goku in Dragon Ball Z, and how the whole crux of the show is revolved around constantly breaking and exceeding your limits. You know, overcoming challenges and finding that new level. If you watch at least a few of my videos, you'll notice I talk about perspective a lot because it really is in everything. And for most of us, perception is reality. It's almost impossible for most people to live in objective truth. There is a lesson in every supposed failure, depending on how you look at it. I mean, they're all just experiences, and the negative oftentimes more important than the positive. And those experiences tell us about our strengths and weaknesses as a person, and you'll never find these things out unless you go through them. It's all about perspective. Rejection and hardship can destroy one person but motivate and inspire the next. And you can kind of tell too based on how much depth or how shallow a person is. And what I mean when I say how deep or how shallow a person, I'm talking about things like your character, your perspective, the way you look at life, your values, your morals. These things are predicated on the experiences you've been through, your failures, your challenges you've overcame. Like, yo, there are some adults, whether they're teachers, counselors, tutors, pastors, etc., that I've spoken to, and I'm just like, yo, how do you lack this much perspective? Why is your emotional intelligence so low despite having lived so many years? Like, there's no richness with your perspective, which shows in the way you speak. You're like a grown adult who only speaks in simplicity and sees things on a surface level. Like, there's just nothing there, and you can tell. And again, this is where I put it on the parents, because your kid's gonna fall down. They're gonna fail. They're not the smartest in the class. How you take that situation from there is so important. You can either instill in them core values, mentality, and perspective for the rest of their lives, or you can just traumatize them to fear failure and end up raising a 30-year-old bitch. And just as you have to redefine what failure is, you also have to redefine what success is as well. Failure is an illusion, and remember, there's only experiences and lessons. And success is whatever you make it, not what society tells you. And remember, the fear of failure is an acquired behavior, so it can always be altered. Anyways, yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I'm gonna go back and listen on this one. I think it was kind of preachy, but again, I think it's important to highlight. Anyways, if you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, or sub. And with that said, make sure you guys stay true. I'll talk to you guys real soon, and see you real soon. Peace.